Hello and welcome to another episode of Peter Plays Guitar. Today I'm going to do three things. The first is I'm going to show you the progress that I made over the course of a month when trying to learn a specific flamenco strumming pattern. The second is I want to share with you some things that I learned about flamenco music in general. And the third is I want to show you a small piece of music I came up with at the end of the video. I'm not going to call it flamenco music, but I'll say it's heavily influenced by flamenco. Today's episode is all about learning. It's not so much about me teaching you, but I want to share with you my learning experience and everything that I'm learning about flamenco. Let's get into it. Okay, so one of the first things that I learned about flamenco guitar is that it's really just a small part of flamenco music and the flamenco performance. So coming at it from the perspective of a guitar player, naturally when I looked at flamenco guitar before, I'd always just be focusing on the guitar and, you know, the really cool strumming techniques and whatnot. So I widened the search a little bit and just started looking at famous flamenco performances. And I found that most of the videos I was watching had singing, dancing, guitar, and a lot of percussion. A lot of the dancers would be wearing these big, long, flowing dresses. The men were wearing, you know, suits and that sort of thing. And it was almost like this interpretive dance, and the guitar is more so just in the background to add to the story that the singer was singing. And then you have all this percussion either in the form of clapping. I saw a few where there's actually a cajon being used, and there was a lot of examples where I was seeing the dancer doing a lot of the rhythm just with her feet, and they were wearing these high-heeled shoes. Now, if you've never seen a flamenco performance with all these elements, I would definitely say just go to Google or YouTube and type in flamenco music and just watch a few performances. With all that said, I'm mainly focusing on a single strumming pattern, and let's just see how I'm doing on day number 1 of practice. So you can see here that I'm moving extremely slow at this point, and part of the reason is I'm just trying to memorize the pattern, but the second thing is that with this strumming pattern, you have to strum both down and up with these two fingers. Anytime I've ever strummed up with my hand, it's always been with my thumb. So this first day is really just me training myself to get used to strumming up and down with those fingers. Here's a short demonstration on the rhythm that I am learning, just in case you decide that you want to learn along with me. We start with our first 2 fingers on a downstroke, followed by an upstroke, followed by another downstroke, but this time we turn our wrist slightly so we can use our thumb on the next upstroke. And then we do a small tap with our thumb and fingers on the top of the guitar, like this. And then we strum up with our first 2 fingers again, followed by one more down and up. All together, real slow. And that's it. When it comes to a classical guitar versus a flamenco guitar, there are some differences. First thing is the action, so the distance that the strings are away from the neck of the guitar. On a flamenco guitar, the action is typically lower, And the reason for that is you're really trying to make it easier for your hand to move quickly across the frets and play with your right hand as quickly as possible. Whereas with a classical guitar, the action may be a little bit higher. So on those single notes, you're getting a really nice full tone and as little buzzing as possible. Another thing that you'll see is most of the time on a flamenco guitar, you'll have some kind of protector around the sound hole here. And the reason for that is because since your hand is moving so quickly and you're often tapping the guitar with your nails, it's to prevent actually scraping away wood material and eventually leading to a hole in your guitar. I happen to have one on my classical guitar simply because I already was doing some of that kind of strumming, and I actually wore a hole in my last classical guitar. I didn't realize it was such a common thing with flamenco guitars, but the more you know. It also seems like the body of the guitar itself is made from different types of wood just to help bring out those percussive sounds that you hear in flamenco guitar. Whereas with the classical guitar, the guitar maker is going to optimize for just a really full, rich tone. All right, let's check in with my past self and see how I'm doing with that strumming pattern. Today, I'm really just going to focus on my right hand only, so I'm not going to play any chords with my left hand. I'm going to get my metronome out, which you know I love, and I'm going to set it at a nice slow tempo and just try to get my strums right on the beat. My hope is that if I start by practicing really slow, by the end of the 2 weeks, when I start moving the tempo up faster, I'll feel nice and relaxed and smooth. One big difference between a typical classical guitar player and a flamenco player is that you'll see a different approach to actually just holding the guitar. So let me give you an example. For classical guitar, you'll typically see someone raising the head of their guitar like this, either with a rest, like I have here, or they'll just simply put their left leg up on something, again, just trying to get that headstock up. Now, when you see a lot of flamenco guitar players play, they will not have one of these. They'll simply cross their leg over and put their guitar on their lap like this. Now, this actually is pretty comfortable. I can sit back in my chair, and it does feel pretty natural to sit this way. But to be honest, I've just had issues with tendonitis in the past. I have to be as relaxed as possible with my left arm. I did try playing with my legs crossed, and I still just feel more comfortable overall using my ergo play and keeping the head of the guitar up. It's day number 5, and today I'm doing just a couple of things differently. First thing is I'm starting to incorporate my left hand just to get used to making chord changes while also doing that right hand rhythm. Also, I'm put on my support, my ergo play. I'm going to start trying to get used to that now. Just for fun, I'm going to play without the metronome and just see how quick I can get my right hand. Alright, so another thing I learned is that there's just a huge emphasis on rhythm with flamenco music. I ended up down this little rabbit hole, and I found that there's a whole lot of videos just on the art of clapping for flamenco. And a lot of times the dancer is doing that clapping at the same time she's doing this tapping with her feet and doing all these other motions. It's actually pretty impressive. Along with the clapping, I've seen some performances with the cajon. A lot of times the people in the background will even just be doing these shouts, like short, quick shouting to add to the rhythm. And of course, there's a lot of rhythm just going on with the guitar, a lot of strumming, just muted strings, and it all comes together sometimes to create these really complex rhythms. I remember I was watching one video and someone started with this really simple clap in the background, and then as soon as the other people in the group started clapping, it created this really complex rhythm, and you can see that there's just a ton of skill involved in really creating those flamenco sounds that we've all heard. All right, it's been exactly 1 week now since I started working on this right hand technique, so it seems like it's a good time to do a speed check. I'm going to start off slow since I have not played guitar at all yet today, and I'll just see how far I can work up from there. One 100 beats per minute. All right, so far so good. This is 132 beats per minute. One thing I'll point out is that I do feel my wrist and arm starting to get a little tired, mainly because this is not a technique that I normally do. So it's a good humbling reminder that no matter how far you are along with your guitar playing, there's probably some technique out there that you haven't tried yet that'll probably still challenge you. Getting to the point now where I really have to focus on my right hand, so might be getting close to the end for this week. I will say the faster I get, the more the technique feels like it starts to change. It almost feels like I'm doing a slightly different motion with my wrist the faster I get. And it feels like the less tension I have in my wrist, the better. All right, so 176 beats per minute definitely doesn't feel clean yet, but maybe next week I'll see if I can get to that 176 or maybe even go a little faster. All right, today I'm about 3 weeks into this project and I keep dragging it out longer and longer, and one reason is because I'm just simply having fun with it. The second reason is that I really just want to see how fast I can get my right hand. But the third reason is that I've learned I really don't know that much about flamenco guitar in general. So I'm really trying to take some time to educate myself so I come away from this whole thing maybe learning something I didn't know, as well as, this cool strumming pattern. I'm just going to start right at that 176 beats per minute that I left off at last week, just to show you how my right hand really is starting to get more fluid. All right, it's been a month since I started this project, so it's time to finally show you what progress I've made and show you a little piece of music that I came up with. If you enjoyed this video, and maybe in the future you want to see more about flamenco and maybe I do a deeper dive, please subscribe to the channel. Till next time.